to order the Bryant Planning Commission meeting of February the 9th, 2026, and we have a roll call.
Johnson.
Yes, here.
Thompson.
Here.
Speed.
Here.
Staton.
Here.
Hooten. Here. Edwards. Is absent. Penfield.
Here. We do have a quorum, so we will have our meeting tonight. There were minutes sent to the commissioners in your packet, and there was one mistake. I think I was absent, but Joe was here, so they've corrected those. Is there a motion?
With that correction, I move they be approved.
Second.
A motion second. Any other discussion on the minutes? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Right, and in our announcements tonight, Mr. Leonard, Colton will wound up, he's going to give our Bryant Leap Forward update. The mayor is sick, and we didn't want him to come here tonight.
That's right.
Colton?
I'm taking the place of the mayor tonight, as you mentioned. This is kind of just a short meeting, or a short little presentation that he was going to run through. It's kind of interactive, so once we get to that page, the pages that are interactive, I'll have you get out your phones and we'll scan a little QR code so that you can do some live input tonight at this meeting. So why are you guys here? What is a comprehensive plan? Identify community priorities, concerns, and then ultimately guide the Bryant's future growth. That's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight on this. So a comprehensive plan is a long-range plan. It looks at 15 to 25 years in the future. It sets a shared vision with goals and priorities for our community. And then that comprehensive plan will guide our decisions about land use, housing development, transportation, infrastructure, parks and public service. It also helps the city make consistent, predictable decisions as Bryant grows. This plan will also reflect our community values. So all the community input that you have that's really personal, it's all encouraged, because we'll have this to guide us for here on out, or at least for the next 25 years here. So it also coordinates projects and efforts citywide. The plan provides directions for our future policies and actions, helps prioritize our infrastructure, parks, and transportation investments as well. So where we see the areas of the city that are growing, what kind of road facilities need to be upgraded to handle that kind of growth, that sort of thing. It also supports coordination across our city departments, informs, of course, the City Council and Planning Commission's decisions based on where growth should occur or needs to occur. It also provides continuity as leadership and conditions change over the years. As we have had multiple mayors the last few years, having this to kind of guide where we go, it's definitely helpful. So the process of this, it's listen and learn through community meetings, surveys, and conversations. Through that, we're going to identify some key issues and opportunities based on the input and the existing conditions in the city. And then from there, we'll develop a shared vision for our community, goals, strategies for the future. So once we have that, we'll actually start the draft of the comprehensive plan. Then once we have a good draft together, we'll continue to review that, refine it, and ultimately adopt that plan. Through that process, we'll also have more public input throughout so that we can really, hone down and fine-tune all that comprehensive plan. So how will your input, I can't even see what that says. So all of our comments and ideas will be documented. Input will be developed into key takeaways, and then we'll have priorities that will inform our plan goals and strategies. Of course, all the comments that we received in the surveys are anonymous, unless you want to put in that information to be contacted about our future outreach efforts. And the results are going to be summarized, and then we're going to share those out, kind of all the results that we have. So this is part of our interactive portion tonight. So what needs to change or work better in the city of Bryant? If you get out your phone and hold it over that QR code on one of the screens, it'll take you to the menti.com. And then it might ask for a code. If it does, it'll be right there on the right side of the screen. But that'll give you an opportunity to just put in what you think needs to change or work better for our city. And as you put those in, it'll pop up on the screen, kind of give you an idea of what everybody's thinking. Give it a couple of minutes.
What's the code, the numbers?
We also did a similar exercise at previous
Just
meeting.
enter in a word, whatever you enter in
it
with,
worked
like you just
well.
answered the question,
Oh, okay.
like streets.
That's actually for the steering committee. And this is all, the information you guys put in tonight will also be used, and gathered for the whole survey as well in the future. Kind of guide some of that. Looks like one of the big ones is streets, of course. Drainage, more sidewalks, trees, lights. Give it just about one more minute. Yeah, streets and drainage is kind of what we heard some feedback so far as well. So it's interesting to see that, you know, that's just continuing across the board for the more input we get. I'll go ahead and hit to the next one. So what aspects of Bryant should we protect as it grows? And question should pop up there on your phone as well.
That's a tough one.
Small town feel, small town atmosphere, small town charm, families, green space. Those are all great answers.
The small town atmosphere is a vital part of this.
And some of the preliminary feedback we've already received from some of the surveys, we've seen that quite a bit. That small town feel for
Yeah.
Bryant, that small town atmosphere is really important to our residents. Yeah, I agree with them. It definitely has that really nice feel to our town.
Yes.
All right, go on to our next question, should be the last one. What should be strengthened in the future? Traffic regulations. That's a good answer. Recreation. federal roads, revenue, traffic regulations, our infrastructure, communication, recreation for families and safety, high-paying jobs. Those are all great answers. Give another minute. Anything else? More industry. We've seen that as well. All right. Keep going in this. Let's see. So, thank you guys for sharing your thoughts on that. Like I said, that all this data will be gathered and inputted into our overall data for the comprehensive plan, and then, hopefully we'll have a great looking plan from in the future that we'll have more review on. Some upcoming things. So we actually have a design workshop, which is going to be the week of April 27th. We'll have a couple of public hearings, and then we'll actually have a lot of our combined survey data at that meeting, where we kind of share the thoughts that we've already received from residents. And then right there on the right, online, it says bryantleapforward.com. So that is our website for our comprehensive plan update. On that website, there's an interactive map where you can actually go on there and drop pins and put comments on different places in the city where you see issues happening or things that are nice, things you like. There's also a link on there that'll take you directly to the online survey. And that's kind of where we're going to be gathering a majority of the data. We will have a few pop-up events here in the future as well that our communications director will be putting on the website to share that. And some of those will be at local restaurants as well as some other local events here coming up. But yeah, we love your input. We're happy to have it. We just encourage everybody to try to stay involved and tell us what you think. This community plan only works when the community gets involved. So we want something that all the Bryant residents will be proud of. I think that's it. Bryant, leap forward.
Thank you, Colton.
Thank you, Colton.
Thanks for the update.
Not as good as the mayor, but
Thanks for filling
close
in.
second.
Thanks for keeping us informed. I know it's a long-term process. It's the roadmap for the future for what we do here in Bryant. Andrea, read our DRC report for the record, please, in minutes.
DRC report, raising canes at 2311-5 I-30 site plan. Benchmark Design Group is requesting a site plan approval, which was approved. It's contingent upon the remaining stormwater comments being addressed. Next is 10 Pine Chapel Drive, conditional use permit. Roger Woodall requesting recommendation for approval of the CUP for an accessory structure that's larger than the allotted 25% of the primary structure. That was recommended approval. Top Road subdivision plat, 840-11625-125. Hope Consulting requesting recommendation for approval of a subdivision plat. That was recommended approval, contingent upon remaining comments being addressed. Cornerstone Montessori Christian Academy, 4910 Spring Hill Road. Half Street improvements. Richardson Engineering requesting approval for the Half Street improvement plans. They were approved, contingent upon remaining comments being addressed. And last, Villages at Magnolia Lane, rezoning from R2 to PUD. Hope Consulting requesting recommendation for approval of the PUD zoning plan and rezoning from R2 to PUD. No recommendation on that.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. We will open our public hearing tonight. There are two items, 8 and 9 on the agenda. We'll have staff give us a summary of what's going on with each item. Then it'll be opened up for questions from the commissioners to any applicants. After the questions have all been asked or answered, then the public will have the opportunity to speak for or against either item. And we would ask that you sign in with your name and address. We have to create minutes of every meeting, and that's used to make sure we put your your comments, suggestions with the right name, most of the time. So we'll limit each comment unless they start repeating themselves to, 3 to 4 minutes. And then the applicant will have the right to rebut any comments in a final answer. And then we can either call for a vote, a continuance, or a table of the vote, whichever is applicable. And Colton, will you lead us into number 8, 10 Pine Chapel Drive, a conditional use permit, which is Roger Woodall requesting approval of CUP for an accessory structure that is larger than the allotted 25%.
Yes. So this is at 10 Pine Chapel Drive. The request is to approve a conditional use permit for allowing additional square footage on an accessory structure, which exceeds the 25% of the primary structure. The applicant is allowed 745 square feet according to the primary structure of their home. And they're asking to build a shop that is 900 square foot in size. So the property itself is on 0.95 of an acre. If it was exactly 1 acre in size, they'd be able to have up to 4,356 square foot inside accessory structures on that property without even a need for a conditional use permit. But since it falls under that 1 acre threshold, it has to come before you guys for a conditional use permit tonight, or for that request. The area doesn't see much traffic because it's right at the end of a dead-end street there on the Tanglewood Acres. There was no additional comments. Recommendation from DRC and Planning Department said approved.
All right. Is the applicant here tonight? Please come forward. You're Mr. Woodall?
Yes.
All right. Any questions of the applicant? We've heard it is 0.95 acres. It was an acre. As you heard Colton, it could be up to the side of the home. You haven't had any, we'll see if anybody's here, but any comments from your neighbors or anything on the
Not yet.
additional use? And you plan on adhering to all the other setbacks of
Yes.
the lot? And of course, not building in any easements or anything?
Is it a shop or living quarters?
No, it's strictly for woodworking and parking my vehicle in the winter.
So an accessory to a shop type?
There are several other properties around there that have accessory buildings as well.
Yes.
So,
I believe in the past year, the planning commission has approved, I think, about 3 other ones that are
Right.
very, very similar situation as far as just under an acre in size.
yes.
Okay, seeing no questions from these guys, we're going to see if there's any public comment. And if there is, and you want to come back up and speak afterwards, you have the right to do it.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Anybody in the public that wishes to speak for, against, or just ask a question about this particular hearing item? Anybody want to talk? Everybody's here to talk about something else. All right, seeing none, we will have a roll call vote on this particular item.
Speed,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Staton.
Yes.
Hooten.
Yes.
Edwards is absent. Thompson.
Yes.
Penfield.
Yes. It did pass. You'll just skip with code enforcement on his permitting, correct? Thank you, Mr. Woodall. All right, item 9 tonight, in our public hearing, Villages at Magnolia Lane, requesting rezoning from an R2 to a PUD. Hope Consulting requesting approval of PUD zoning plan and rezoning from R2 to a plan unit development. Mr. Colt, tell us what's happening.
Yeah, plan pulled up here. So this is a request for rezoning from R2 to PUD. With the PUD, that comes the PUD zoning plan as well, which dictates the layout of the development, what can be used, that sort of thing. So the PUD would contain 231 lots of varying sizes, some being 75 foot in width and over 12,000 square foot in size, which would be typical of a R2 development, which is what it's zoned currently. Some of the other lots are proposed to be 50 foot wide and only 6,000 square foot in size, which is more in line with a R1S type development. The development is proposing that 12.35 acres of the development be used as open space. That includes 3 retention or wet ponds, a sidewalk system, and a 3.76 acre recreation tract in the center of the development. The development would only allow for single-family homes and require that all houses use one of 4 facade materials listed on the plat, which would be brick, vinyl, glass, and wood. They would also be required to do half-street improvements to Mount Carmel Road and also Boone Road as well. There was, as far as the use of the site, once it's fully built out, it would cause a large increase of traffic to the area. There is a traffic study that is attached to the agenda underneath that item as well. That was a requirement of DRC. And then as far as recommendation goes, it was a no recommendation. The applicant has completed requirements to hold the public hearing for the item. There are still a couple of items that are part of the PUD zoning plan that haven't been submitted yet. They do not have an impact on the requirements to hold the public hearing. However, I believe they are necessary for making an informed decision on the review of the PUD zoning plan. Main item being the draft copy of the bill of assurance for the subdivision. Or the improvement district documents. And so it would be my recommendation that after we discuss the rezoning and also hear from those that are in attendance tonight for the public hearing itself, that we have a continuance on the public hearing to allow for those items to be submitted to us so that we can have a more informed decision and then allow the public to see those as well.
So the next planning commission meeting would be another additional
Public hearing.
public hearing
Yes.
to continue this? Okay.
Yes, but we'd still have this public hearing tonight and hear from everybody as well.
Okay.
So it'd basically just be a continuance of that. So we'll have one more public hearing on it as a secondary one, basically.
Okay.
And that would push the vote on until we have the additional documents that I think would provide for a better review.
Colton, they have to have the bill of assurance here in advance, correct?
Yes, just a draft copy.
Did they give the square footage requirement, the minimum?
So that would be listed in that bill of assurance.
Okay.
So that's one of the things I figured would be very beneficial for us, because that would kind of dictate the building requirements and stuff, if they have those.
Is it standard to wait, though, to have one initial public hearing, and then because everything's not in yet, to have another? Is that standard? I mean, I've never heard of
It's
that
not,
before.
it's in PUDs, if everything's not turned in, you have to have it.
Right.
So-
I just wondered why we are doing
So
this
it's
tonight
not,
instead of.
we don't do
we
them
have it
very often. In this case, it was just because they've already completed the public hearing requirements to have it tonight. So instead of just turning everybody away, saying, oh, it's just gonna be next month, we figured it'd be best to go ahead and hear from everybody on the item tonight.
I think it'd be good, because then they would have another 30 days to maybe make some adjustments or answer questions or come back or give us time to think too, so it might work to our benefit.
Okay. That was unusual to me.
We've done it before.
Okay.
All right, you good?
Yes, that's all of mine if we want to have the applicant come forward.
And the applicant, Mr. Hope, you'll come up to the podium. We know you, but state names and why you're here.
Jonathan Hope, Consulting, representing the applicant on this project. This land came to you guys about 5 years ago, and we proposed the R1S zoning at that time when they purchased the property. And that was turned down, and, we ended up with R2. And lot sizes are trending lower and lower and lower every year for the last 15 years. It's really, really, really expensive to do these R2 lots, and that's the reason it's set there for the last 5 years. It's just not financially feasible. So what we've brought to you tonight is kind of a mixture of the two, kind of halfway between the R2 and the R1S. And like Colton mentioned, we're also dedicating the 12 acres of open space. There's a park, there's a parking area for the park, there's a sidewalk connection north-south to get people to the park. So we feel like it's a good mix of maybe what's best for both, and also Bryant gets something here, a big, nice project with a bill of assurance that was discussed at DRC. I think he brought a copy of it to DRC, gave a lot of details, but we didn't have the PDF, the final PDF copy, so wanted to go ahead and get the final copy in to you guys and have time to review versus last second and not have time to review it. So that's the reason for that. But, you know, this is going to be, this is unusual because we've got half a mile of street improvements too. You know, sometimes we'll do big developments like Midland, for example, where we've got, you know, 250 feet of street improvements on 200 lots. This is the opposite. This is a half a mile of street improvements for a little over 200 lots. So who pays for those half street improvements? It's the developer. And so when we're talking about a couple of hundred lots and half a mile of street improvements and $500,000 in cost, you know, that has to come from somewhere. And so, again, we're just trying to propose a great project that is not R1S, you know, not high density, no park. This is a mixture of the R2, R1S, a park, some strict requirements that the builder and owner have come up with that he can talk about that we think is great. The additional street improvements is not just a little bit of asphalt and a curb. We're talking about a whole lane on both sides. Very significant, very expensive. So we hope that you like this idea, that you think that it's a good, you know, middle ground for what the neighbors want, what you guys want, and what the developer wants, so this doesn't sit for another 5 years.
So Jonathan, you said it's an additional lane on both sides. Is that
Right.
both Boone and Mount Carmel?
Correct.
Have an additional lane on both sides?
Right.
Okay.
On the R2, how many lots?
I think we got approved for like 172.
But under R2, you could go in and build anything.
We could go in.
You could go in and build
Right.
a 1,000 square foot house, all vinyl siding,
Right, they could be
starter home, very basic home.
Yeah, very.
Whereas
very
this would
basic.
require you to build a much higher valuation.
Right, and a lot of the, so we have these nationwide builders, corporate builders that come in and build a lot of small houses with no restrictions. You know, that cuts out a lot of local subcontractors too, you know, your electricians, your HVAC guy, your landscape guys. What we're proposing is something different, that, you know, this would be local builders, you know, a lot of requirements. We keep all that money in the community, and something different. He can talk to you a little bit more about what the end product would look like, but it would be a good project for sure for Brian.
And with the PUD, all those requirements are enforceable by the city because it's a zoning ordinance versus a normal R2 subdivision where you just have a bill of assurance.
Right.
It's, other than the square foot of the home, nothing is enforceable by
And
the
you
city.
can't make any change to that, Colton, correct? Like, they can't go in and say, well, we want to use vinyl siding. They would have to get that approved by city council.
Yes, so that's like the big difference between a regular rezoning from, for instance, the R2, if they want to do R1S. They rezoned it to R1S and got approved for that. As long as the lots met the lot dimensions for an R1S, and they had their correct setbacks on there, they could lay out the subdivision however they wanted to. They could do what, basically anything they want to at that point. So for a PUD plan, in a sense, this plan, the zoning plan, becomes the zoning for that property. So they would be required to do what's shown on the zoning plan and what's, you know, included on that, and that's it. If they want to make any changes to it before the, you know, final development plan is approved, if it's anything significant as far as adding any new lots, changing in ingress, egress, that sort of thing, it's got to come back through for another public hearing and go back to council as well.
And I believe on the comprehensive growth plan, this, you know, the city council approved plan, this is G4. which is maximum 10 units per acre, mixed use with residential. So we're at 3.76 units per acre with the comprehensive growth plan saying max 10 units per acre.
Jonathan, will there be any type of landscape plan in that bill of assurance or any
Yes.
type of requirement?
Well, I know on the PUD there was a landscape requirement. I'll let him speak on the houses, but we did provide like a landscaping tree plan for the open spaces in the park that would have trees. But I'll let him speak to the individual houses.
What about sidewalks? So they're still required?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Those will be included as well on both sides of the street.
You know, I guess my concern is the traffic.
Yeah.
You know, I did some, middle school math here. And it looks like it's a 48% increase in the volume per day from your traffic study on Boone.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Mount Carmel, it's a 16% increase in volume per day. So I know that you plan on putting 2 other lanes around both
Right.
of them, but, what about the other parts of Boone coming into that? And also Mount Carmel dead ends to the Target parking lot. And I know a lot
Right.
of people will want to
Sure.
hit the service road through
Right.
the parking lot.
So like in the mornings, for example, when people are going to work, we'd call that like a peak time. So at that peak time, obviously you're not going to have interference with people that are shopping at Target at 7:30. So that's one of the things that we saw. And same thing at the end of the day, the traffic in the Target area is probably going to be going opposite of that. So we don't think that that would be a big influence, but it's definitely a factor. And in addition to that, there is some stacking right now, like in peak times that we saw, like at Mount Carmel going down, turning left, going on to Boone. There is, at peak times, there already is, 2 cars there at peak times, sometimes 3. So, there already is stacking. We think the additional capacity of the roads is going to handle that with I think we had like in the traffic study, I can let Kazi talk about it, but a modest increase of 10 to 12% stacking. So didn't seem like it would be something that's going to be catastrophically different on the stacking.
Will there be a turning lane?
Yes,
At that, so there'll be a left turn lane and somebody can go beside them and turn right on them?
Right.
So there'll be
Right.
3 lanes?
Right.
Why don't you introduce Mr.
Mike.
Coon or Mike? Isn't that right?
Mike Coon, he's,
How do you spell your last name?
Kuhn. It's pronounced Coon,
Okay.
which it's been messed up since I started kindergarten. My name is Mike Coon. I'm a builder, and I've been building for the Wiggins family for the last 4 years. I spent my first 32 years building in West Little Rock and Chenal. And Mr. Wiggins, asked me if I'd be interested in doing something with him, and I chose to do that. And we ended up moving, which I don't understand this, but why in Hurricane Lake, part of Bryant, I don't know, because we moved to Hurricane Lake, and I always tell people I live in Bryant. But anyway, what we're trying to do here is something that Chenal did on the 50-foot wide lots. Aren't they 50?
some
60.
60,
And some 60.
75, yeah.
Yeah, so, when Chenal first come to us and told us, as us builders, told us they were doing a subdivision that was going to be 50-foot wide lots, we all said it was going to fail. What we found out is they're on their 7th subdivision of that size lot. And it's become very popular with young families and then empty nesters. So what we're trying to mimic, and I hate to use that word, but we're trying to somewhat copy what Chenal has done. Very nice homes. there will be no vinyl siding, be all vinyl siding, soffit, and fascia. But, you know, it's something that I think that Bryant could use and maybe even need. Again, I don't know, I tried to do some calculations on the way over here, but if I'm not mistaken, Chenal is between 700 and 900 homes of that size now, and it works. And again, I understand we've got a traffic situation that we've got to look at, but from, you know, we're going to have a 1,700 square foot minimum on the, what we call patio homes, with a 2,300 square foot cap. On our 75-foot wide lots, we're going to have a 2,200 square foot minimum, and really don't have a cap on that.
What was that again? I'm sorry.
2,200 on the 75-foot wide lots, minimum square footage. And then 1,700 minimum on the 50 or 60-foot wide lots. You know, we want to sell lots to the local builders, but, and you know, what you see, and I'm not real familiar with Bryant, even though I've been here 4 years, I stay in Hurricane Lake. But, you know, as I've shared with people, I see this being a mini Hurricane Lake, which is a very nice neighborhood. And it's certainly in a great location for that. But
Does Hurricane Lake have small homes like that?
they do have some. Now,
Not to this extent?
not as many as what we've seen.
There's two small areas.
Yeah, in West Little.
When those first came out, people said it wasn't going to work, and they didn't like them. But it actually became very popular,
Yeah.
that small section of.
Well, and that's what, again, that's what we've seen in West Little Rock. And, you know, people want the smaller yards. They don't want to, you know, have to deal with a big yard. But it's, you know, it can be a really, really nice addition to Bryant.
Do you have like an example that you could show us of what the houses look like, your vision of what they would look like, or
You know,
give us an idea?
when we met, I wish I'd have brought, when we met earlier on, I brought some photos.
At DRC, I think you
Yeah.
brought some.
And I'm sorry.
There's some street views in Chenal that
Right,
could do,
to give you an example, you know, a 9/12 minimum pitch instead of a 6 or an 8/12 that we have from some of our outside bigger building groups. You know, the exterior's got to be all brick, stone, hardy. Even your dormers cannot be vinyl siding. They're going to have to be hardy. Or stucco.
so you're really going to be looking around $350,000 to $450,000.
Yeah, so, you know, we've
On average.
really tried to look, you know, study that and try to look through that. So when Chenal, again, I keep going back to Chenal, but when Chenal started this, you know, there was going to be that 350,000 and up. Well, then what's happened is it's turned into $500,000 and up because people are building more square footage. There are a few sprinkled in that are smaller that get you in that 350 to 400, but no, minimum price range is going to be, smallest price range is going to be 350.
Can you bring some renditions
Yeah,
at the
that's
next
what I-
meeting?
Yes.
I was gonna
And I
suggest-
apologize, I didn't do that.
Part of a PUD,
Sure.
it's critical. I mean, I did the arbors and had to stand in that spot and show the same things. It's a little patio home development. And I mean, I think it is critical to see
Absolutely.
what the vision is for those to look like.
Sure.
And we understand it's going to be a continuance tonight, the public does. Because of that, I'd listen attentively to what maybe the public says and come prepared with whatever information you could show regarding that also. But I do think it's critical to see what they're going to look like. I mean, some of us do construction in life and others don't know the difference in a 9/12 and a 1/12.
Sure.
And you know, and hardy board and and vinyl plank. So, I mean, I
We'll
think,
be more prepared with that.
I do think the PUD is an instrument that works favorably for the community because it defines what it's going to be.
100%.
And that's, you know, pretty much in stone versus you building the first 5 and then selling the lots and somebody else doing the rest. I mean, it'll dictate what all of them look like throughout the whole thing.
Well, that also protects the city and anybody else.
Exactly.
If it's phase 2, you know, Joey Wiggins, again, who owns this, just gets some crazy offer from somebody that wants to buy him out, well, they're gonna have to abide by that.
That's
And
right.
I think it's smart. I would want that if I lived in there.
That's right.
What's the time frame over which you would do the complete build-out of all of it?
5 years,
5 years?
that's what we've been.
How many houses in the first phase?
60.
60?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
I think there's green space, and we talked about that earlier. So is this an area, I'm gonna call it a neighborhood, so there's gonna be like a POA, HOA that's gonna manage all that?
Yes,
Because otherwise the city would
We will-
come in there.
We will control that until 70% of the subdivision is,
Mhm.
you know, filled up.
Typically, city's going to require them to either do a mandatory POA or a special, recreational special improvement district. Probably be a recreational special improvement district, I would imagine, which all property owners will have to pay it in their taxes and it'll be maintained. All right, we're going to let the public say some things. You guys listen, and we are opening it up to any public comment right now. Don't be bashful, one at a time. Don't trip anybody.
3 minutes?
3 minutes, yeah. I mean, just see what's happening, but just state your name and address. We have a nice city employee that takes minutes, and she needs to be able to reflect where you signed in there, who you are, because sometimes it's hard to understand.
My name is James Overby, and I live at 3914 Mount Carmel Road. You know, my only concern is with the traffic. You know, I live there. My house is an older home. It's pretty close to the street. With it widening, I'm concerned with how it's going to affect me. You know, I'm not opposed to growth and all this, but I am worried about how it affects me. And I don't want my property touched, and I know a lot of the neighbors up and down the street feel the same way. So, you know, it's already like a racetrack out there. I've had two wrecks in my right in front of my house across the street in the last year, with all the traffic that's coming from Target and up and down the road. He said 16%. I disagree. I think it's going to go up tremendous, probably closer to what it is on Boone Road. So that's really all I've got.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks.
Any-
Hi.
No.
I'm Lane Harper. I signed in back there. I'm at 5901 Boone Road. I'm about catty corner to this property. The traffic is a big deal. A 50% increase in traffic is crazy. 5,000 cars pass by every day based off of your traffic report. I have no doubt that you're going to build beautiful homes. I have no doubt that they're going to be beautiful. But that many new people right next door. My location is also very precarious. I'm in between a brand new, beautiful looking development and Bishop. I currently have a lot of foot traffic across my front yard, just across my front yard from people going from Bishop to wherever they're traveling. I can only imagine that would increase and probably lead eventually to widening the road into my property because I am across from the old Boone property. So the traffic is a problem. The noise is a problem. The drag strip out front is a problem. And that's on top of all of the service vehicles that truck through there every single day. I think we're at least 3 ambulances a day. Fire trucks are 2 a night. It was worse whenever the weather changes. We also don't know what the impact on cost of everything around us, utilities and increase of everything else in the longer run. I'm all for progress. I grew up in Bryant. I graduated from Bryant. I love this city. I lived in Chicago for 12 years. I do not need 230 new neighbors right across the street from me. Now, maybe half, but yeah, it's too many people packed into a tiny space in an area where it's one of the last lovely, I look out my back window and I see trees and woods and birds and deer. And I love that about where I live. And this will not continue with that kind of traffic. The last thing is, a small town feel doesn't really come packed in tight 5 to 10 feet away from your next door neighbor. So that's not even what the Hurricane Lake is looking like. They have a little bit of breathing room. I also believe that it's just a little too much, with a little too many, and the traffic is going to be terrible. So it already is bad. Thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
you.
One thing, just while she spoke, it's zoned R2 currently, right, Colton?
Correct.
Which they have the right to build by right. She signed in the rear. You picked up our sign-in sheet.
Oh.
I forgot I'm in the CIA. I can see.
Okay. And so it's zoned R2, which is approximately 172 houses could be built there by right, which has a 10-foot side setback. Anybody else in the public?
So we're increasing 50 lots versus what there's
Yeah.
on
I mean, it's,
100 cars.
they're requesting.
Yeah.
And trading off for
For
trying to build.
green space and restrictions. I like the restrictions.
Yeah, I
But
do
the
too.
traffic is all.
Okay, guys, let's, all right, name and address.
Shannon, I signed in the back.
She signed in.
All right, Shannon Davis. I am here with Prospect Park, so our neighborhood is right across the street from where this planned development is. So mostly my concern in coming here tonight was just to understand exactly what was going to be built, and it sounds like my concern is I didn't want apartments or anything like that built, because we have ample of those. So I am happy to know that it is going to be homes, and my concern is pretty much like everybody else's, traffic, considering, there's times, especially in the mornings, and then especially when school gets out, there's so much traffic that comes up Boone Road where they're dropping kids off and picking them up at Bishop. Sometimes I can sit there for a little while trying just to turn out of my neighborhood. I can only imagine what that would be like if there's people coming out, facing me, trying to get out. So, and I know in the past, and this has been quite a few years, I think this was back when Dabbs was mayor, I think the city put forth a plan to actually widen Boone Road.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's plans to do that in the future. That is something that I feel like is needed, and especially if you're gonna do something like this. We need some type of widening, some type of turn, something. And I know people are concerned about taking their property, but I just don't think, what we have right now suits even the amount of traffic that we have now. I live 2 minutes, I could walk down to Bishop Park, but I don't do it because I'll get ran over. So, I'm just, if you're gonna do something like this, we just need to have a plan for the traffic. And I don't know if putting an extra lane in front of the subdivision on Boone and in front of Mount Carmel is gonna be enough. Because my concern is just the rest of the traffic that it's gonna cause, in other places. So that's my 2 cents worth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pam Teeter. I live on Mount Carmel Road. I know you've seen me before. I have some questions. and it may be in the bill of assurance, and it may not be in the materials that we
Yes,
got.
ma'am.
But on the traffic flow plan, it lists Mount Carmel as, let me make sure I've got this right, as a local street. And then on the plan that we got, the plat that we got, I believe it says the Mount Carmel's a collector. And that, I would think that would make a difference in the flow too. Does it not, as far as the
What is
number?
it?
So it's designated as a collector on the master transportation plan. Currently, it's just a local road specification. So I don't know if that's why it might be worded something differently in there.
Yeah, one said one and one said the other, was the reason I asked. I also have a concern about the collector ponds, because are those going to become fishing ponds? There's almost 3 acres of water there, and that back area behind our property, does flood. It's almost knee-deep sometimes in certain areas where they're going to build houses. So the retention ponds, are they going to be stocked with fish, or are they going to be mosquito catchers, or, do you see what I'm concerned about there with 3 acres?
We could ask them when they come back
Yeah,
up.
they make different detention ponds, some are wet and some are dry.
Right. There's a lot of water in our backyard a lot of times. I also have a question about the widening. If the widening goes, where will that, of Mount Carmel or Boone Road, or making the left-hand turn, where will that property come from? Will it come from this
From
property?
theirs.
From theirs.
Okay, so that would include ours as well, though, because we are on Mount Carmel on that side.
It's,
So-
per the ordinance, anyone that develops, there's a half-street improvement ordinance. So they give the right-of-way along their property line. So
Okay.
where they abut Mount Carmel or Boone, they have to give the half of the right-of-way. So if it's an 80-foot right-of-way and it currently has, we need 40 and there's 25, I mean, they have to give 15 additional feet. If it's 80, what is that right-of-way called?
So the collector is a 60-foot right of way. It looks like currently there's 50 foot,
So-
so they'll give an additional 5 foot.
Okay.
They'd give 5 of right-of-way, and then they would build from the center line over to their property a full street with base and everything, which is by ordinance.
But it wouldn't span to your property, it would only be in front of their property.
Right.
So it would not, your property would be exactly the way it is now. That lane would begin at their property.
On the left-hand turn lane, but what about widening Bryant, the Mount Carmel?
Well, they
Just
won't-
in front.
just adjacent to their line.
Okay,
It won't affect the other side, and it won't.
we're on the side of the property, though. We're in that little chunk there that doesn't have houses on it.
That little chunk will not be touched. They won't widen that area. So it'll be a widen and a not widen and a
Not
widen.
wide in front of our house?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great
Unless you
way.
could talk
That's
them into
kind of
doing
like the left-hand turn lane now in the new division. That's a
But they
disaster.
don't own your property, so they can't technically go widen your property.
Well, and it's not so much that, but making the road safer. Well, again, like the retention ponds, young children are in the neighborhood, are they going to be required to fence those off or have those in some way that children can't get into them like you would a pool? Those are just questions. I also have a question about the POI or HOA or whatever they're going to have. How long does that exist, or is it required to exist?
With city ordinance, it's perpetual.
Okay.
Because they have to have a funding mechanism in place. Unless it's some type of mandatory, it's going to be what's called a special improvement district, which will be mandatory for all property owners to pay.
When I looked at the difference between the R2 and the PUD, I started looking at the individual lots. One of the lots is only 5,969 square feet. How can you put a house of any size on that? Because I heard some numbers for minimum square footage heated and cooled, and I don't see how you could do that.
2-story.
That's a small.
They do it in
lot.
Chenal. They do it.
And the arbors in Bryant, have you driven through that little patio home development?
when I looked at all the zoning regulations and everything, the one thing I saw was at the beginning in section 15A of the City of Bryant zoning regulations for a PUD, primary emphasis shall be placed upon achieving compatibility between the proposed development and the surrounding area so as to preserve and enhance the neighborhood. That would not preserve and enhance the neighborhood as it is now. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks for putting up with me.
That's a good point.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Diane Boone. I live at 6011 Boone Road, and my husband's lived there all his life. And the traffic is horrible. It's horrible. I used to wake up about 7. Now I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning with the traffic. We don't sit right on top of the road. We're kind of far back, but it's still noisy. Boone Road is being taken as the freeway and the service roads. That's a thoroughfare. That's where everybody comes from and goes. The traffic, I have been passed on Boone Road. I can't tell you how many times on a double yellow line. It's 30 to 35. It starts at 35 at our house. Our land backs up to Bishop Park. And right there where our land starts, it starts at 35. Most of the people that come out of those apartments, they think it's a drag strip. You hit that road and you're going up towards Benton, they're doing 40 to 50 in no time. And a lot of these trucks, loud young guys with trucks, they're doing 60 to 70. And they got the pipes rattling too. So yeah, I get shook out of my bed a lot, day and night. And then, adding on to these other people, the traffic, the emergency vehicles, yes, putting 231 units or more on there, it's going to triple, if not more. And I just don't see Boone Road being able to handle that much more traffic. Even if you widen it, like they said, Mayor Dabb, she proposed it. It was a ridiculous proposal. To widen, we would have to go up, go down, and go back around. Now, if you're going to widen it a little bit, but don't put, a media in the middle of Boone Road with trees in it. We don't need that, where we have to go up and turn around. We just need it widened a little bit on each side. We need the speed limit enforced, because like I said, we live next door to the park. There's no sidewalks. I understand that. And yes, people walk up and down Boone Road. I haven't done that in 20 years because I'm afraid I'll get ran over. I used to walk to the park, but if I wanted to go to the park, I get in my car and drive down. And like I said, I'd be safer to go through my woods and get down there. Boone Road, yes, it's terrible, but we've lived on it forever, and we kind of like our small town, and I'm getting where I feel like I live in Little Rock.
Okay.
It's no small town feel anymore.
I'm gonna stop you at that.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Hi guys, how are ya? I've never been to one of these in my life. But you got a little close to home, so now I got something to say. Sorry, you gotta deal with me. Thank you guys for everything that y'all do. My name's Kelly Wamsley. I live at 4011 Mount Carmel. And we relocated here from a concrete jungle because it wasn't a concrete jungle. So when I see more trees being taken down and more development, I understand the need, but it needs to go at a slower pace because the infrastructure cannot keep up with really fast growth. I have one major question. I don't know, am I allowed to ask the developers?
Well, you can ask.
You can ask here and they'll come back and
My first question was, and I'm sorry, I'm a little daft sometimes. Were you being facetious about the road being big here and then
Well, on Mount Carmel, you
Yeah.
see where the development has that little cutout that somebody, that the other lady owns?
Yes.
So the widening is only in front of their property, so it'll be widened, and it won't be widened, and then it'll be widened.
So we're gonna go from
Well,
lanes with a middle.
they can only widen their side
They
of
can't
their
take her
property.
property.
They can't widen somebody
That's
else's property.
fabulous. My functionality, I don't know how that works.
Well, you know, down the street where they have that little bitty subdivision, just closer
Yes,
to
right
Target?
across the street from
You know
my
how it kind of widens there for a few seconds?
Yes.
So that's what it'll look like. It's very similar. It'll widen, but then it will not widen.
So
and then
it'll
it'll widen.
bottleneck and then wide open, and then bottleneck.
The ideal is
With-
later, when the city goes
Lots
to
of
improve those streets, they won't have to widen the entire thing because the developer's already done part of it. And the city will come-
Eventually, they will be taking people's
Eventually-
property, probably. Presumably.
if it ever comes to where they need to widen it.
Okay.
That's,
So I have a really hard time dealing with 16% more traffic on Mount Carmel, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't know how to get home without going behind Target, without having to go all the way up Alcoa, go completely out of my way to turn around and go back to basically Target. So that's our route home, through Target. And I imagine a lot of other people are gonna figure that out, that it's faster for them to get home. That's a mess. You've got delivery trucks delivering back there. You've got trucks delivering behind Petco when you're trying to go to the freeway. It's just, it's a nightmare now. I cannot imagine. And I can't imagine how it would only be bothered by 16%. The professionals checked it out. We live there. We only know what we know. Flooding. When Boone Park floods next time, and you have 60% more traffic diverted from being able to go that way, what's the plan? What's the plan? We lose complete access for Boone to head that direction. What are we gonna do with that? That's a mess, that's scary, that's not something we're going to be able to deal with that kind of high-impact housing. And then I had one more question, I think it was for you. Did you say something about any part of the properties being 600 square feet?
6,000.
6,000.
6,000.
The land, not the house.
Yeah.
He was talking about the lots.
The lots,
Lot size is
okay,
6,000.
okay. Is there any plan, is there townhouses these could be?
No.
No, they're
All
all
single family.
individual, single family, okay. One more question, I might always say one more question, have another one, till my time runs out. Is there gonna be a percentage set for homes that have to be owner occupied versus able to be rented out?
I don't think they can do
You
that.
can't do that.
I don't
They
think-
can't do that.
If somebody buys a house, there's nothing legally could stop them from renting
You
it.
can't, you can't.
The bill of assurance or?
If you had the only thing you can do, and we won't go down that path, if you had a condo project, you can have a POA that limits the number of, but you can't restrict the homeowner from being able to rent their home.
Okay.
But the houses will be minimum probably 350,
You know, I'm
They're probably average
honestly, I
400 to
don't care if they were
$450.
$2 a piece.
so you're probably not gonna see a lot of rentals.
It's the flooding, the development, it's the traffic that I think is most people's problem. They could be beautiful, they could be ugly. It's gonna be what it's gonna be, but it's the environmental hazards, it's the traffic, it's the lack of peace in our homes and on our streets and the encroachment.
You're at time. I do want to say one thing, just so everybody understands what the developer's doing here. I mean, by right, they have an R2 zone piece of property.
Yeah.
So they can build 172 houses, which is going to create more traffic, which is going to, they're going to have to design their stormwater to meet our specs. I can't control what happens at Bishop Parks. That's going to happen whether these houses are built or not. But they're asking for a zoning that allows them to have some smaller lots mixed in and more density. In return, I mean, it's kind of like, hey, I'm willing to do this for working with us more on the city, the public, on turn lanes for stacking of traffic, trying to help, which some of that would be required in the R2 too, but also the aesthetics of the subdivision, the type of housing, a higher-end housing, that kind of thing.
Green space.
Green space. So, and you may have a 9,000 square foot lot or 6,000 square foot lot, which doesn't meet the R2, but you're going to have more green space scattered around than a typical subdivision in Bryant. So they're kind of making trade-offs. And yes, some of that green space is areas they couldn't build on anyway. I mean, let's face it. But, I mean, that's what they're asking for. That's why they're asking for more density. That's why they're asking for the PUD, is because it doesn't fit our R1S or our R2. It's kind of in between, like the guy explained. We'll let the next person come up. Thank you.
Thank you.
I signed in up there in the front.
Okay, state your name and
My name is David Peterson. I live at 3832 Mount Carmel Road in Bryant. I have lived out there for a bunch of years. Widening that road out there is not going to solve the traffic problem. As it stands right now, you go out there, check your mail, you better step back and check it 15 feet back because you're going to get hit. There have been accidents up and down that street. I have seen cars had to be running 60 mile an hour down that road, easily. It's dangerous. There's not going to be, you can't add just one more lane because you're going to turn it into Commerce Road up there by Walmart where people are going to be using it in the other lane as well. It's not going to work. Boone Road is too small. There's nothing at either end to catch any of this extra flow. And during school time, it's a mess. I don't even leave the house in the morning nor in the afternoon. I'm not going to fight the traffic. It ain't worth it. And these kids running up and down through there with the loud pipes, stereos blasting. I've been in my shop 500 feet back working out there and had the doors rattling because somebody was driving down the road with their stereos blasting. And then the next thing is all the flooding that goes on down there at Bishop Park. When all that flooding goes on down there, it shuts down Boone Road. Where does the traffic go? Right down Mount Carmel, right back up the other end towards Alcoa. The other end of Mount Carmel, it's got Target Shopping Center. Yes, part of the street of Mount Carmel does go behind Target Shopping Center. It does go back there, but yet people are still going to cut through the parking lot. I mean, hey, I'm guilty, I do it too. But at the same time, all these houses, you're going to put more houses in on top of us, which I understand they got 160, 170 houses, whatever. But where are you going to put all the traffic? And then the next thing is running bulldozers down through the middle of the tree fields and getting rid of all the trees. I like a little privacy around my home. And our homes have got trees around there. I'd like to see those trees stay. Yeah, I realize that the builders have got a certain amount of property to stack them, rack them, and pack them, but leave our trees alone. Leave our yards alone. And bottlenecking the streets not going to work. You got to do something. There's got to be more infrastructure done over there, around there, to clear the mess out before it becomes a mess. And
cut you off.
So, yeah.
We're saying a lot of the same things, and we're hearing it, so I appreciate your comments.
Thank
you. Thank you.
Mr. Peterson.
Anybody else?
I signed in the back, but I'll sign in here. I'm Joyce Ball, and I'm at 1515 Boone Road. And again, the traffic, we all know that. But has anyone asked the question for the school district? I mean, you've got the high school down on this end of Boone. If you've got that many homes, 231 homes, what the school needs to plan for extra children. I know Hurricane Creek would be the elementary school, but you still got the high school and the junior high.
Separate, just an answer to your question, the school keeps up very well with the growth and what all of it's zoned. I know they come to a lot of the they're at a lot of DRC meetings.
Okay.
They do get information provided from the city on new subdivision growth, and it is part of their plan for their growth. I can't answer how the board handles it, but I do
Well, I
know
haven't
that
seen
they
any at
monitor
school
it.
here.
They monitor, and they're provided through private, local people in the community that are in the real estate business. They provide them with new subdivisions coming, and it's part of their budgeting plan for the future, Dr. Walters. And I know, Colton, you provide, planning department provides them with different documents from time to time on new subdivisions. Whenever there's a preliminary plat for this PUD for 100 or 231 lots, is what they said. They will immediately, or say immediately, they'll get that after it's approved.
Sure.
And they know that's not all going to happen in year one, but it's going to be a 5 to 10 year process, and they plan for that growth.
Well, I
It doesn't mean
didn't
that
know
they-
if they made any.
Doesn't mean they're ready for it, but they try to
Right.
plan for it.
Right. I mean, that's a big concern too. Again, the traffic. I mean, we live right on Boone, and we have a bigger driveway, and we have a terrible time at times backing a trailer or a truck into our driveway, even though we have a circle drive. So, same concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? This is a public hearing to hear from.
Wait, one more. Two more.
Hi, my name is Darla Beecham, and I live at 4011 Mount Carmel. Write my name on. And I know the traffic, everybody's talked about all these issues and these problems, which are absolutely 1,000% right. One thing I didn't hear, because I can't hear really well back there, is the school buses, before and after school. When they stop to drop these kids off, that backs up traffic even that much more. How many more kids are we gonna have to wait for to get on the bus? I take my grandson to school or pick him up, and it's an issue. I mean, there's just no place for that many more people right now. Maybe once you guys have done all the other work on the roads and all, but it's just a scary thing. You can't walk anywhere because obviously there's no sidewalks. There's ditches on both sides of the roads, all the way down Boone and Mount Carmel. Sorry. So it's just too much right now. I mean, I can appreciate these guys, you know, they're in it for profit. You know, we all have to make a profit. But we also have to consider the peace that the residents need to have there. You know, nobody that lives on that street, I don't know who here lives on that street, as far as you guys or these gentlemen, I'm sure they don't. But, and to understand the massive, when there's flooding, everything that's been mentioned, I'm not going to mention all that again. It's just frustrating when you stop and think what's going to happen in that area. So anyway, that's all I had to say, mostly about the buses, because I didn't hear that being brought up. We have kids out there, you know, trying to run across the street to go to the park. It's just...
I have to stop for buses on Highway 5, and it's terrible over there. Anybody else? Last call.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you. Last call for any more talkers. I'll give the applicant or Jonathan Hope the opportunity. The discussion was that this would be continued to the next month for drawings, pictures, more specs on what they're going to build, how they're going to build it, hopefully answer a lot of the traffic questions and things like that. But Jonathan, ball's in your court.
Okay, so appreciate all the input from the neighbors. Got a lot of great notes that we can talk about next month. And we'll come back and give you a good informed response after we go back and study this. You know, one thing that I heard, I think Kelly Winsley mentioned was, you know, we need to slow the pace of this growth and get control of, I guess, our infrastructure. over the last 5 years, average building permits in Bryant is 114. That's really low. For example, Benton's average over the last 5 years is 249. We've gotten turned down here a lot on projects like this in Bryant, and I think you guys do need the growth. You do need the building permits. You do need more citizens. We're trying to provide, a project that we think is going to be great. I think the R2 project that we had before that was approved also had like a park in it. We can go back and check with the, I think it was closer to, I think I looked at my plat, and it was closer to 189 lots with a park. And they can build anything they want. And so we throw out the park that we proposed previously, maybe we get another 12 lots and we're 200 lots. So now we're choosing 200 versus 230, 231. On one hand, we're getting 30 more homes, and we have zero input on the product type, versus 30 more homes, and you get a great project, very expensive, nice homes, parks, walking trails, all of that. So we'll go back and study the traffic more. Another thing is no ditches, no sidewalks, concern over safety, even getting mailbox. On this Boone Road, we have to build, in addition to that extra lane of traffic, we have to build a 12-foot trail, sidewalk on that south side for a half a mile, or I think that's like 1,500 feet. And then also a connecting sidewalk going up Boone. So that'll be more underground drainage, sidewalks, all of that for the walkability of these people. So,
Jonathan, somebody asked about the detention ponds, what type they are, concerned about mosquitoes.
Right. So typically we design wet ponds, at least most recently. They're the easiest to maintain with fountains. The ones that sometimes are dry, sometimes they're still kind of wet in the bottom, they're kind of hard to maintain, cattails and all that, kind of a little bit more marshy. So we tend to do a wet pond, over excavate, and do a fountain on those.
Right, so basically you're asking for a continuance to bring more information. We would need a motion in place to continue this public hearing till next month.
So move.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Of course, traffic was the buzzword.
Right.
And, so bring information, bring plenty of renditions of what it's going to look like, and be prepared to give that presentation. The hearing will be, before we vote, the hearing will be open to the public again. I think the message of traffic and the other things are there. I mean, there's certain issues that they'll have to deal with our engineer. But, if there are any other any comments from the public, it will be open again for the public comment.
What date is that? Can you confirm? Is it the 9th of March?
Yes.
I think it is the 9th.
Yes, March the 9th.
Same time, 6 p.m. right here. All right, thank you. Roll call a vote. All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed to the condensed? Okay, we'll see you next month. Thank you. And I need a motion to close.
Motion to close. Second.
A motion second to close the public hearing. All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? The public hearing is closed. Okay, you're welcome to stay, but we got a little more business we're going to do. So old business, thank y'all for coming and commenting. Old business, we have none. We'll give about a 30-second, 1-minute interval to let them leave. So our IT guy can hear what we say.
Was that March 9th?
March 9th.
Yeah, I've got it on there. Oh, yeah, I hope I can do that. My wife's having a knee replacement. 2 days before that, so we'll see if I can leave her. Second knee.
Second knee. What day is she having that?
5th.
Oh, she'll be up walking around.
I hope so. She did pretty good last time, so. it was robotically done, so.
He's gonna be making dinner before you come.
Oh, I don't think that's good. She usually milks it for as much as she can.
Do a more, well, I don't think they want it.
Well, yes.
Well, I tell you.
Most of the interviews.
I know, it's just,
All right, guys, our new business tonight, item 10 on the agenda, Hilltop Road, a subdivision plat. We have the parcel number 840-11625-125. Hope Consulting requesting approval of subdivision plat. I think this is to correct a lot split that was done. I'm going to let Colton give us an overview and keep moving.
Yes, so this is a request to approve a subdivision plat where like a lot split from one larger tract of land to two, essentially. About a year or two ago, there was one that came through Planning Commission for this corner parcel here that was separated out from this overall chunk. It's documented in this plat as well as being tract 1. Tract 2 is the remainder piece of property. Tract 3 is where the actual lot or new tract that's being made with this plat. There is an access easement that's shown there in yellow, as well as another ingress egress easement across this tract 3. It's kind of shown there in red. This is just a minor tract split, really. Traffic's not expected to increase with this. It's expected to be owned by one owner who lives nearby, just wanting to purchase a little bit more land. There are a couple of minor modifications needed to the plat and easement document before we sign and file it. They're listed below on my write-up sheet. One is to update the chairman's name on certificate of plat approval. The easement survey must be stamped, dated, and signed by a licensed surveyor, and that the COA stamp must be included on the survey for the easement. But other than that, the recommendation from DRC and Planning Department is to approve. Those things can just be contingencies before the plat is signed and recorded.
Any questions of Colton? Okay, let's have a roll call vote.
Staton,
yes.
Booton,
Yes.
Edwards is absent, Spee,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Penfield.
Yes. Okay. I think you have the updated.
He said he believes he addressed it all, but I'll verify that before we can sign.
Yep. One other motion would be in order.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
I knew I should have.